Thank you, Lord Provost, and thank you for letting me follow Councillor Munro. So I'd like to start by reflecting on the deputations. It's hard not to be moved, and I have to say also ashamed to listen to the impact that cuts have had on council staff and council service users. In 2022, it's quite incredible listening to those stories, and it's a reminder to us all, as others have said, that as councillors in Edinburgh, we have a duty to stand up for our city and demand fair funding. And I would also echo Councillor Neil Ross's point about not only does the Green SNP government force cuts on us, they also undermine local democracy at every opportunity. I want to touch on the cost of living crisis. This has been blamed wholly on the Conservative government. As others have said, that's complete nonsense. It's a global issue. What's clear, however, is the Conservative government have made it worse in the UK and have not done enough to help the poorest through it. Meanwhile, in Scotland, the SNP Green government have actually copied some of those policies, and the Child Poverty Action Group have been highly critical of their failure to target support for the very poorest people in Scotland, and that includes those living in Edinburgh in poverty in my ward. So it's right that in the budget that I'll support, cash is set aside for the very poorest. But I support that, knowing that that's a short-term stopgap rather than the long-term fix to tackling poverty, eradicating poverty we need in our city. The budget I support as well will see investment in parks, and I'm glad that the Finance Deputy Convener mentioned Buckstone Play Park in my ward. 250 residents have contacted me saying they want it improved and they want it to be just as good as Oxgangs Play Park, which was recently upgraded. And also I hope the money that's been set aside for improving lighting in parks, I'm hopeful that Spylaw Park in my ward will benefit from that. That's been a long-term campaign from the Community Council. And I'm glad also that Oxgangs Library will see some money coming its way to help it reopen to the community. The budget I'm supporting is not a Labour budget though, so it does involve some compromise on my part and the part of my colleagues. I think if it was a Labour budget, we'd see more focus on getting the basics right, more focus on education, and more focus on tackling the root causes of poverty in our city. Thank you. But when I look at the alternatives to back in the coalition budget, if you look at the Conservatives, they say their budget is fit for the future. If you look at they've got 1.2 billion of spend allocated, but they don't mention climate change once. That's not the kind of future our city needs. And I looked at the Green budget proposals. They acknowledge there's a funding crisis in local government, which their party in Holyrood has supported, I have to say. Their solution isn't action, it's a citizens' assembly. The people who contact me about cuts to council services aren't asking for citizens' assembly, they're asking for fair funding for Edinburgh. So I would advise and encourage all councillors, including my good colleague Councillor Munro, to support the coalition budget because it sees investments in parks, libraries and the rest. And on that basis, Lord Provost, I'll conclude. Thank you.